Flash Thompson, schoolyard bully of Peter Parker, is bitten by a radioactive spider and becomes Spider-Man this week on Comic History. What's up guys, Roman from RNS Entertainment here, and welcome to Comic History, the weekly video series where I retell and explain the iconic storylines, origins, and events in the world of comics. In today's video, we're going to be talking about a storyline in Marvel What If number 7 in 1978, where the radioactive spider that gave Spider-Man his powers bit Flash Thompson instead, creating an entirely different type of Spider-Man without the intelligence or self-control of Peter Parker. Marvel What If is a long-running Marvel title that, no surprise, explores what would have happened if key moments in Marvel's history had been altered in a specific way, and is always narrated by Uatu the Watcher, who is tasked with witnessing these historical events unfold in countless alternate realities. Marvel What If number 7 was written in the 70s, and goes through 3 different alternate realities where other key Spider-Man supporting characters got spider powers instead of Peter Parker. And since it was the 70s, they chose characters prominent at that time. Betty Brant, assistant at the Daily Bugle, John Jameson, the astronaut son of J. Jonah Jameson, and Flash Thompson, the schoolyard bully of Peter Parker and ironic Spider-Man superfan. Flash Thompson is a character that has changed so much over the years, and who was made most relatable and fleshed out in the Agent Venom solo series in 2011. But even in the early Spider-Man comics, Flash always idolized and wished he could be Spider-Man, so it's interesting to get a story where he actually does. Our story begins with Uatu the Watcher recounting key moments in the origin of Spider-Man, narrating as Peter Parker approaches Flash Thompson and some girls from their school to ask if they wanted to go to a new science exhibit, being immediately blown off and going to the demonstration alone. We see the spider, which had absorbed a large amount of radiation in the lab, bite Peter Parker and give him incredible abilities including sensing danger and leaping great distances, which he immediately uses to avoid a speeding car that otherwise would have killed him, and all of the other spider powers that led to nerdy bookworm Peter Parker transforming himself into the Amazing Spider-Man. The Watcher then turns to a parallel reality where events regarding Spider-Man's origin had been slightly altered, witnessing as Flash Thompson turns Parker's invitation into an excuse to take the 2 girls out on a date, pushing Peter aside at the demonstration as the spider is dosed with radiation. With Flash now standing in the exact same spot Peter was in the original story, the spider bites him instead, and though Flash tries to play it cool for the girls, he thinks to himself that he's about to pass out. As Flash leaves with the 2 girls on his arms, Peter Parker kneels down to recover the spider, which he plans to study and use as a basis for his term paper. As Flash and his 2 dates cross the street, he suddenly begins to feel his powers set in, and while he's describing how strong and powerful he feels to the girls, the car that almost hit Peter in the original origin speeds toward them. But instead of leaping out of the way, Flash grabs the hood and throws the entire car to the side with his spider strength. Reaching into the wrecked car, Flash pulls the man out through the window and threatens to bash his face in. And while he runs away in terror, one of the girls asked him how he did that. Flash brushes them off by saying that it was just adrenaline from the danger he had been in, all while thinking to himself that he should go find Parker to get an explanation about how radioactivity could possibly affect a spider bite. Flash then comes across a poster for a paid amateur wrestling challenge against Crusher Hogan, who of course Peter Parker fought as Spider-Man in the actual origin. Planning to test his spider strength and get some cash at the same time, Flash takes the girls straight to the ring and challenges him. Crusher charges at Flash, who easily lifts him over his head and slams him to the ground, gripping him into a super-powered headlock and taunting him, power tripping over his newfound strength and tightening his grip around Crusher's throat as he plans to turn him around so his dates could see him better. Flash then feels a crack, and the 350-pound wrestler crumples to the ground as Flash stares at his hands in shock. As the police arrive, Flash thinks to himself that he didn't mean to murder anyone, that he had just gotten carried away, and fights his way through the cops before leaping through a window to escape. Flash uses the ability to stick to walls to escape up to the roof, and then tries to figure out what to do next, as he is now a wanted fugitive and technically a murderer. Deciding to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, Flash gets the idea to use his powers to become a superhero to atone for having killed Crusher, and use the new identity to hide from the police. Flash sneaks through a skylight into a costume shop, and making a few alterations to an existing costume takes up the new identity of Captain Spider. With his Gambit-esque mask and a web cape, Captain Spider viciously begins assaulting Spider-Man's early villains, including Chameleon and the Tinkerer, mostly relying on his spider strength and earning a reputation of fear among the city's criminals. While Flash trounces low-level supervillains, Peter Parker watches his exploits in the news, jealous of this new hero. Still early in Captain Spider's superhero career, he begins to break up the robbery of a valuable bird statue, only to be attacked from behind by the Vulture, who swoops in from above and kicks him in the back of the neck. Vulture grabs the bird statue and attempts to fly away, but Flash grabs onto his costume and attempts to hold him down to the ground. The Vulture manages to lift Flash into the air with him, flying high above New York as they fight and struggle. Flash waits for the right moment and grabs Vulture's punch, getting ready to swing back before Vulture blindsides him in the face with the stone statue. Vulture kicks Flash off of him, and the new superhero plummets to the ground, staring at his impending doom in horror as he realizes that his spider strength won't save him from the fall, and not having had the scientific knowledge to create web shooters like Peter Parker would have. Peter, who had been following Captain Spider to watch his exploits, runs to the alleyway where he landed, and as he sees Flash's crumpled body in a pile of garbage, he loses all hope of helping his hero. Seeing that his hero's identity was none other than his high school bully, Peter cries over the body as he says that Flash had tried to play the hero, but it takes more than being a jock with superpowers to be Spider-Man. And that wraps up the Flash Thompson story in What If issue number 7, though the issue does continue with 2 other alternate reality origin stories where Betty Brant and John Jameson both become spider-powered superheroes, which I am going to be covering on this month's patron-only video. Following the 3 what-if stories, the Watcher reveals that each one ultimately led to the same place, with each alternate reality Spider-Person having failed the mantle in one way or another. The Peter Parker of each of their realities uses the recovered radioactive spider's venom to create a serum which he takes without hesitation, obtaining his powers and becoming the Amazing Spider-Man, proving that it isn't the powers or the gimmicks that make up Spider-Man, but the specific qualities that make Peter Parker who he is as a person. Knowing what we know about Flash Thompson's journey as a character into the modern age of comics, we know that he does have the potential to become a hero in his own right. But of course, at the time of this issue, he had none of the character development he needed to do that. And it's plausible that if he had gotten spider powers then, he simply wouldn't have been able to cut it. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel for weekly videos on comics, movies, and more. Leave me a comment letting me know who you think the most interesting non-Peter Parker character becoming Spider-Man would be. Make sure to follow all of my social media via the links in the description box below. And if you'd like to support my channel and help me keep making bigger and better videos, check out my Patreon at patreon.com/rnsentertainment. I want to give a huge thanks to Drew Miles for being a $10 patron this month, and I will see you all next time.